Most first-time managers fail in their first 90 days. And it's not because they're not smart, not because they didn't work hard. They fail because no one tells them the one thing that actually matters when you go from peer to boss. And I'm not talking about communication skills or setting expectations. I'm talking about something much more specific. Something that I learned the hard way on the factory floor 3 decades ago. In this video, I'm going to give you the 3 less obvious rules that separate first-time managers who get promoted from the ones who flame out. These aren't theories. These came from real production lines, real teams, and real consequences that I got wrong. My name is Joyce Hughes, and I spent 30 years leading manufacturing teams, and I've trained dozens of first-time managers. What I'm about to share with you is the stuff that no one puts in the management handbook. Here's the first one that nobody tells you about when you're a new manager. Your team is watching you in the first 30 days more than you'll ever know. And what they're looking for is not what you think. You probably assume that they want to see competence. They want to know that you understand the job. Well, that's true, but it's secondary. What they're actually scanning for is this. Do you make decisions or do you hide from them? I call this the visibility test. Most new managers fail at this without even knowing they're being tested. Here's what it looks like on the floor. Let's say you run out of materials for a production and the line stops. The team looks to you. Do you step forward and say, "Let me check with my boss"? Or do you say, "Okay, team, let's review the steps to solve this quickly"? The answer you give in that moment determines whether you earn their respect in 10 seconds or you lose it for 10 months. Now, here's where most new managers get it wrong. They think they need to have the right answers before they speak. No, that's not true. You need to make a decision and then own it. Because here's the psychology. Your team doesn't need you to be right every time. They need to see that when pressure hits, you step forward to help them with problem solving. I remember my first week as a supervisor. A shipment was going to miss the deadline and I froze. I went to my boss for the answer. He looked at me and he said something that I never forgotten. "Joyce, you don't need me. They need you. Go back out there and make a call, even if it's wrong." That was the moment that I understood the visibility test. Here's the tactic for you. In your first 30 days, every time a problem appears, be the first person to pull the team together to find the solution. Not the perfect solution, just a solution with a clear next step. Repeat it out loud in front of the team. Do this consistently, and you'll pass that test before most people even realize there was one. Now, that first rule is about earning respect quickly, but here's what's interesting. Earning respect is only half of the battle. The other half is much harder, and it's one that new managers completely ignore. Let's talk about the relationship trap. You just got promoted. You used to eat lunch with these people. You know all their kids' names, and now you're supposed to evaluate their performance and hold them accountable. This is where the peer-to-boss pivot is, and it's the exact moment where most new leaders break. Here's what I see happen over and over. A new manager gets promoted, and to avoid being labeled that boss, they overcompensate. They're too friendly. They don't correct mistakes. They let small issues slide because they don't want to damage the relationship. And what happens next? The team's performance drops. This is not because the team isn't capable, but because the new manager just removed the guardrails. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You cannot be everyone's friend and everyone's leader at the same time. Those two roles often conflict. So just choose one. Now, this doesn't mean you become cold or distant. It means that you redefine the relationship on new terms. The phrase I teach new managers goes like this. My job is to make you successful. Sometimes that means pushing you. And sometimes that means I'm going to have to hold the line. Everything I do from now on is in service to you and your team's results. Say that early, say that clearly, and then act on it. The tactic? Within your first week, have that one-on-one with each of your team members and set one negotiable expectation. Not 5, 1. Something measurable. Then follow up on it every single week. When you follow up consistently, you are not being bossy. You're being reliable. And reliability builds trust faster than friendship ever will. So, we've covered visibility decisions and the peer to boss pivot. But even if you nail both of those, there's one more thing that will make or break you. This one took me years to learn. The speed of your feedback determines the speed of your team's improvement. Most new managers sit on feedback. They notice a team member doing something wrong and they're thinking, I'll bring that up later in the next one-on-one. Or worse, they wait until the annual performance review. By then, the moment has gone. The behavior has repeated at least 20 times, and the feedback lands as a surprise instead of a course correction. I call this the 24-hour feedback rule. If something matters, you address it within 24 hours. Not aggressively, not publicly, just directly and honestly. Here's why this works psychologically. When feedback comes close to the event, the brain connects the action with the consequence. The learning sticks. But when feedback becomes weeks later, the brain has already moved on and your words feel like an attack from nowhere. I learned this the hard way. Years ago, I had an employee who was consistently late to morning huddles. I let it slide for months, because I didn't want the confrontation. By the time I finally addressed it, he was shocked. Why didn't you tell me sooner? And you know what? He was right. My silence had trained him that being late was acceptable. I was the problem, not him. The tactic? After every shift or major meeting, ask yourself, is there one piece of feedback that I need to deliver today? If yes, deliver it before you go home. Keep it simple. Here's what I observed, here's what the impact was, and here's what I'd like to see next time. Takes 30 seconds. Done. Do this consistently and your team will improve faster than any training program could ever achieve. So here's what nobody tells you about being a first-time manager. Rule number 1, make visible decisions in those first 30 days. Step towards problems, not away from them. Rule number 2, navigate the peer-to-boss pivot by redefining the relationship around the team results, not your personal friendships. And rule number 3, follow the 24-hour feedback rule. Address issues immediately or they become your fault, not theirs. These 3 rules won't make you popular in your first month, but they will make you effective. And in leadership, effectiveness beats popularity every single time. If this hit home with you, drop a comment below. Tell me what surprised you most about becoming a manager. I'd love to hear that because I read every one. And if you're looking for more frameworks like this, subscribe to Soaring Leadership. I spent 30 years on factory floors learning these lessons so you don't have to.